Hi, this is Jeff Berger, and I'm here to show you a laser alignment procedure for the FoldGuard system. Typically, if you're not on a new startup or something has happened to your machine and it's not functioning properly, there's a pretty good chance that your lasers are not aligned. This could happen at night. Somebody could have bumped into the lasers. It could have happened from a forklift going by, bumping the lasers. It could have a screw or a nut could have come loose. But our first indication that we will know that well, first of all, the machine's not going to react properly. You're going to be getting a lot of safety stops. You're going to be wondering why is my machine stopping all the time for me? Because FoldGuard will automatically default to a safe state. So it's always going to run your machine in slow, and it's always going to try and hit a safety stop no matter what. Another quick indication would be these red lights right here. If these were green, my lasers would be aligned. However, they're red, telling me that they are not aligned. So if I try and close this, it always tells me my sensors are blocked, whether I'm blocking the lasers or not. That's a classic laser alignment issue. And as you can see, I'm always running in slow. That's safe mode. So we're going to go over the process of aligning the lasers. For the demonstration purposes, I have loosened all the nuts and bolts and knocked these things completely out of alignment, so that way we can go through the whole process. There's a few tools you're going to need. Basically, we need a 6mm Allen wrench, a 10mm box end wrench, a level, and the cards for a laser alignment that came with the system. If you don't have these, you can still align the lasers. It's a little more difficult, but these should have come with the system. If you don't have them, we have them available for purchase. Okay, so let's look at the FoldGuard brackets, and let's talk a little bit about the adjustments that are available. If you look in here, you will see we have here our two Allen head bolts. Okay, these are used to raise and lower each end. So if these are loose, I'm going to make sure they're a little loose. This gives me up and down adjustment for setting the height of the laser. I have an adjustment here, which that'll give me adjustment side to side. I can slide in here side to side. And then we have 3 nuts on different pivot points of the transmitter and the receiver. These will be used to level the laser and rotate the laser in these directions. This is where the 10mm wrench comes into play. I wanted to talk a little bit. A lot of people don't understand how you can swivel this on here. So I brought a plate, and as you can see, where the back of the laser is, it's slotted, and then this left one on the left side is also slotted. So that way when I stick this in here and I loosen up these bolts, I can actually pivot this on this plate. It's important to know that because when we're making our adjustments, we're usually going to leave this one tight, and then we're going to loosen this one, and that will allow us to rotate. Okay, keeping this one tight and not loosening this up keeps some rigidity to this thing, so that way every time we tighten these bolts back up, we don't go out of alignment. You're going to find that it's a little finicky at first when you're trying to align these. When you tighten up the bolts, it may cock it one way or the other, but keeping this one tight helps keep that from occurring. Okay, so step 1. I would not recommend worrying about this laser this is the transmitter and this is the receiver. I would not worry about this top of this laser being level. Okay, reason is I've found that sometimes these lasers are not necessarily coming out of this transmitter level. So just because the top of this is level doesn't mean that these lasers are going to shoot across the clamping surface level. What we'll do is we'll determine how straight they're shooting by using these cards and by using a square. So what we're going to do first is what I like to let's make sure that the laser is shooting across the clamping surface level. So the first thing I want to do is raise this up. Let's get these nuts snug. It doesn't have to be perfect right now, just needs to be snug. And I want to raise this up to a point in which I can see where the lasers are. Okay. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and snug up these to keep it from falling down on me while I'm running this test. Okay. I'm going to use these cards. You'll have two cards. One will say transmitter end. Well, it doesn't say transmitter end. One says receiver end. The opposite one would be the one you want to use for the transmitter side. And these cards go on here the opposite of what you think they would be. If you look at the writing here, that's meant for a press brake. To use them for folding machines, we need to flip it upside down. And we have some measurements on this card, and we have a center line. This center line is designed to go on the line in between your bending beam and the clamp. So anytime we're making any measurements or anytime we're trying to align anything, we want to make sure that that line is placed right in the crease of the bending beam and the clamp. We also have measurements here, 20 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 5 millimeter, and then the line right up above it is 4 millimeters. So that's going to be important to note. That's the line we're going to be shooting for our lower beam. So the proper way to put this on here, and this is going to be hard to get, so I'm going to go to the other side while you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to align the center up with the crease. And what I want to do is I want to get that 4 millimeter line, and I want it to be right along the bottom of the surface. So that way, this window here you can see I have a window right below. I want the laser to try and shoot through that window. Okay, that tells me it's set to 4 millimeter. Okay, so then I'll raise and lower this. This just happens to be set up, I got lucky, and it's set up right in between those windows. So in order to determine that it's level, what we would do is take this and we would also take it to the other side of the machine. Okay, and I'm going to set this at 4 millimeter. Okay, now I'm pretty good, but it looks like this lower laser is not, you'll have to get a shot from this side. It looks like it's a little low to me. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to try and raise up that laser. So you're probably going to need someone to help you do this, by the way, because these machines are big, so you'll need somebody holding the other end of the card. So I am going to hold this up here again. 4 millimeter. We're pretty close, but I'm going to go ahead and what I want to do is I want to adjust this back nut. This back nut will tilt this laser head this way or this way, and that allows me to shoot the laser straight, or if I need to raise it or lower it. Looks to me like I need to raise it a little bit. So if I want to raise it, I want the back end to go down. So I will loosen the top nut and I will tighten the bottom. And as you can see, that laser raising up on this end, it's raised up above the window a little bit. So I've gone a little bit too far, so I'm going to back off of this and I'm going to tighten the top one. And I'd say that's pretty much perfect. Okay, I can also verify this by sticking this card or something. I can look here and I can go all the way down the machine. It's a pretty good visual indication that my laser is nice and level across the machine. But if I want to get precise measurements, I can use the cards and go to each end. Okay, now I can tell by sticking my card up here that my laser is angled. It's shooting this way and it's shooting to that back side. What I want to do is I want to tilt this so that way it is my lines are in between these windows. So again, I'm going to loosen up these nuts. And I'm only going to do the two. I'm going to leave the one tight on the right nut on this side. I'm going to leave tight as I can, as snug as I can, still rotate it. And I'll barely loosen these up, and I'm going to go ahead and rotate this. What I want to do is try and split get the same amount of laser on either side of that window. Okay, this time I can go ahead and tighten these back up. Each time I make one of these adjustments, I still want to verify that all my other things that I've set are still within where I wanted them to be. As you can see, I'm at 4 millimeter and I'm still right through that window, and that's perfect. That's what I want. Okay, double check it back here again, make sure I'm still at 4 millimeter. And I'm still through the window, so everything looks good here. Okay, so we're done with the transmitter. Important note, the transmitter is just shining the lights across the clamping beam. It does not determine where the front, middle, and the rear placement is. That's done by the receiver. The transmitter, it's important that you're setting the height of the lasers, and it's also setting how straight we're shooting across the machine. FoldGuard has a test, so if somebody were to they got tired of a lot of obstructions and they wanted to go ahead and raise FoldGuard and get it out of the way or bypass the system, FoldGuard has a test in which it will, once it passes the lower laser, it's only expecting so much movement, and if it sees more than that, you're going to get errors, and it's going to probably e-stop, and it's going to raise the clamp. So don't try and cheat the system. Set it at 4 millimeter. If you have waving material that's blocking it, you just have to live with it. It's there for your protection. Okay, so at this time we're going to set, we need to set the height and the squareness and the position of the receiver. The actual height of the receiver is not necessarily that important. We just want to make sure that the lasers are shooting somewhere in the center of this thing. Okay, this thing could be up here, it could be down here, and it will probably still work properly. But for our own sake, let's just put it right in the middle so that we're happy with the position of that. I'm going to go ahead and set that in the middle, and I'm going to tighten up my bolts. Okay. Probably the next thing we want to do is make sure that the lasers are centered up on the receiver head. So if you see, I can move this thing side to side, and I can get an idea of where those lasers are falling on the head here. We just want to make sure that we have coverage, that the laser is as far this way as it is this way. I can also take a card and stick it over this to give me a little bit better idea of where it's at. It looks like it's centered up pretty good there. Right where I've got it, I'll go ahead and tighten it up.